Welcome everybody to the Dueling Sorcerer Show. My name is Stacey Broadwell. I will be your host for today. And on Dueling Sorcerers, we show that there's more than one way to source talent. So welcome to the show. And today's sorcerers are Dean DaCosta and Steve Levy. Welcome to the show.
Hola.
Hola.
If you want Dean and Steve to source for a position for you live, you can post it down there, maybe with the title, the location, maybe a few specifics, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So gentlemen, what are we sourcing for today?
Payroll Specialist. Okay, that's a little bit different. So there's a couple of ways to go about it. Number one, identify.
By the way, location. Give us a location.
Los Angeles.
Okay.
Experience with processing California payroll.
Well, if they're in Los Angeles, they would have to have experience with that. That's kind of redundant. And what did you say the title was?
Payroll Specialist.
I'm sure there are other titles we could use, but we'll just stick with that.
Yeah, I'm looking at a few things right now. Now, the thing about payroll specialist, and is there any particular industry experience they really need, or they just need to know the systems?
It doesn't say, but I mean, the company is Chow Now. Candace is one of our speakers, so thought I'd help her out.
I like that. I like that.
And where and what location again?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Which, by the way, Chow Now has the best job descriptions because it says what you'll do in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. I'm not working for them or sponsored by them or anything, but Candace is fantastic.
Sure, not yet at least. No. Here's what I would do, Candace.
Okay, I just went on Zoom Info, typed in ADP Payroll Specialist Los Angeles, and I got 151 results. If you open them, they're all people, and you can open them and get everything you want out of them.
But here's what I'm going to do, Dean. I am sure that Chow Now, if they're ADP, there's an ADP, you've heard this before, that there's got to be an ADP account rep.
Oh, yeah.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually look for ADP. This is really simple. I'm going to look for ADP account reps in Los Angeles and ask them and connect with them fairly quickly. I'm going to do it right now. Sometimes account executive. You know, I'm going to be channeling my inner Randy Bailey, and I'm actually jumping on LinkedIn now.
Yeah.
So this is going to be so exciting. I'm going to go current companies, ADP, locations, Los Angeles, Los Angeles, California.
You do that, I'm just punching in URL.
Current company, ADP. So I have, just so you know, I'm going to share this. This is how I would do things when it's something like this. I just did the 53 account executives in Los Angeles, California, work for ADP. What I'm going to do, I think I almost saw Chow Now. No, I didn't see Chow Now. I'm going to ping each and every one of them. And I'm going to say, look, I'd like to connect with you because just so you know, Chow Now is hiring a payroll specialist. And, they're currently using ADP. Are there any people in your client companies who have been impacted or might be impacted who might be interested in this? What a human way to do things. Agree, disagree, anybody? Thoughts on that?
No, that's a good way to do it.
That's a great outreach plan.
I mean, that's what I would do. If I'm Candace, that's what I'm doing for Candace.
So all those strings that I just stuck in there, I didn't have a specific company, but I just did a search under company using ADP, and there's boatloads of them. All you got to do is find the names of a few in the Los Angeles area and add them to those strings, and you'll get people obviously using ADP because they're all using ADP. But what Steve just said makes a lot of sense. I mean, and while you're at it, you can also do the same thing via Facebook. Find people working at ADP in Los Angeles, working for ADP in Los Angeles, and do the same outreach, but do it via Facebook.
Well, actually, Glenn's now. Why don't you all see what Glenn did?
Well, acceptance service.
Glenn said, Glenn looked at Yelp.
Yeah, that's a good
brilliant.
place.
That's a brilliant thing. So let's take that to another level, and let's go. Actually,
what did we say the title was again?
Payroll Specialist. I'm actually expand what Glenn did a little bit more. Doing my little Boolean here right now. Trying to type as fast as I can. And hold on. Boom. Boom.
And keep in mind, we're targeting one title right now. There are other titles that would fit.
There's so many other ways
we're just targeting one right now just because, well, that's all we're targeting. Don't have time to do the research to find them all. Okay, so I'm going to add in here a all people search with just all I did was Payroll Specialist Los Angeles. In looking at that list, that when I did a list of companies using ADP, and then I typed in Los Angeles as well, there are boatloads of them. It seems like ADP is the choice down in LA. So I would probably focus on just that alone. If you add in and then just start talking to people. And
actually, you know what? Yeah, let's take that on that note here. If you look at, for example, my the thing where there are 53. Let's see if this works. I'm going back to the screen share, Dean.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to look at Michael Butler is the district manager of ADP in Los Angeles. This is actually leveraging what Glenn did. I'm going to go look at. Let me see. If I'm going to look at recommendations, I don't know, but I'm going to look for each person. These folks don't have recommendations. Let me go one more here. Let's go see. Michael O'Hara. Why does his name ring a bell?
Because we know a Michael O'Hara.
And just see, are there recommendations? So you want to look for things like that. Maybe some of the folks that maybe he's working with a payroll specialist, and he gave them or she gave them a recommendation. It's something to consider. This is why we often don't use all the information available on LinkedIn.
So guys, I just stuck in there a link to an events page from ADP. These are events that they do all the time. So let's think about it. If they're having an ADP event, who do you think is probably attending? Probably people using ADP. And if you get the event, and if you get the people that went there, you're in pretty good shape. If you can't, just get the name of the event and then do a search on it, and people will say, hey, I attended this. They do it all the time.
Well, actually, let's take that one step.
And let me go to my other favorite spot and see if what I think is true is true. Go ahead. I'm playing.
Yeah, I'm just checking to see this here. And
not JD.
Well, I do know that, interestingly enough, I just ended up doing, let me just see. Oh, here's something that's interesting. So I ended up, Alan, we'll get to that one in a sec. This is another Boolean for everybody. Just taking what Dean just said about events is, let's just expand a bit more, looking for ADP, Payroll Specialist, Los Angeles, conference, event, or meetup.
That's what I'm doing right now in schedule.com.
Okay, and so what I ended up looking for is ADP. I forgot about workforce.adp.now is, exactly, Dean.
Yeah, you and I were hitting it at the exact same time.
So here's the interesting thing is, and
the other thing to keep in mind, we're talking about ADP, we're talking about payroll and stuff like that. A lot of, in some ways, that's actually a human resource function. Believe it or not, you'd be surprised how many times you'll see people. Like if I go to HRTX, ADP is there and they're talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you might see stuff like this at HR events because that's where a lot of these are HR events. Let's see.
Yeah, Frank, that's the site that was the first thing I went to. Yep. That's a good one, Frank. I'm just scrolling. You know, long ago, I said, you know, one of the most valuable skills that a sourcer can have is scrolling, and that means, you know, if you just scroll down for the first 10 to 15 hits, you invariably you're likely to miss the good stuff.
Payroll, what again?
Yeah, that's right, Evan. That's right. That's exactly what it is. In fact, that's what this post will do. Is it'll tell you who's hiring. I mean, one of the first things I did with this particular Boolean, the first thing that comes up is Netflix hiring senior payroll specialist in Los Angeles. So let's. I've got an idea on this one here. I'm gonna click on the job. I'm gonna share the screen for a second again.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so I'm gonna click on this link here. I'm just curious. Let's just see. Jobs no longer accepting applications. I'm just seeing. Number one, this is always a good way to see if you're, you know, what other companies are using for a job description, and you know, Netflix is particularly good at seeding it with some good stuff here. But I'm just seeing what's here, and I want to see, you know, on this job. You want to see if come on, where are you? Let's see, where are you? Sometimes it's here, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you want to look for, you know, people who are commenting. There may be payroll specialists, and so it'll take a little while to get to. You want to look for Netflix. You know, let's see if Netflix is. You know, individual recruiters have. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Glenn. That's right. Glenn noted that it's you're a member of a global team means they probably have a large team.
Oh yeah.
I'm just reading Evans. Yeah, maybe an ADP Payroll Specialist at their current company, like Netflix, but not have it on their resume or on profile or resume. Yeah, and that's the thing. One of the challenges. Let me stop the share here. I think as a recruiter is assuming that because a person doesn't have it in their resume or their profile, that it's not there. You know, I screen technical people most days, and one of the things I've learned after doing this for 36 years is, you know, after roughly 12,000 interviews, two key insights, you know, takeaways have come to mind for all, you know, from, you know, based on my experience. Number one, engineers hate interviews. And so how you interview them makes a difference in terms of what you're going to get from them. The second piece is engineers write some of the worst resumes around. So taking what they have on their profile or what they have in their resume for gospel means you're going to miss a substantial number of people. And the same thing applies to any other position. And Evan's right. It really is a good idea to save job ads and descriptions from your competitors, because then you can run some, you know, potential MLLs on them and create better job descriptions based on all the stuff that you get.
The other thing to keep in mind, a resume, you know, one thing that I get into arguments with people about is they think a resume pretty much should say hire me. That's
No
not what
way.
they're supposed to do. They're supposed to say talk to me. If I wrote a resume that said hire me, it'd be 20-some pages long. Can't be done. The idea,
Dean, it would be twice. It'd be long.
yeah, well, you're probably right, but I'm trying to be not, you know. Anyway, the resume is designed to say, let's talk to them. So there might be a lot of people that can fill this role that may not put ADP on it.
Yeah.
But they have it. So you need to ask. Usually, you know, that's why I said at the beginning, get a list of the companies using ADP, because sometimes a person may not put that they're using ADP, but they may have the company on there. Well, let's see if they're working there in that role and that company uses ADP, they probably are too. I mean, sometimes you have to use a little common sense and connect the dots, because let's get real. 98% of all hiring managers will not read a resume longer than 2 pages, and even then it's hit or miss. Recruiters don't read resumes as a norm. They scan for buzzwords.
Which when you think about that, it boils my blood, because, you know, our job in fact is to read them. If you don't want to read it, you know, then maybe to get a job as a copywriter. Let's go back to the chat here. Two things. Cindy Davis requested a CV engineers. That's funny, Stacy.